Hi everybody, today we'll be doing the cacti embroidery kit that's available on Poppyseed Creative. If you didn't purchase the kit but you still want to follow along with this tutorial, I'll post all the materials that you need and the DMC colours so you can still follow along. So the first thing you're going to do when you get your kit is place the hoop over the design and then trace it with a blunt pencil. Once you've traced your design onto the material, we're going to unscrew the design and flip it over. You'll also notice that your hoop has blue stickers. Try to keep those on as long as possible because that will help fend away scratches. It's not the end of the world if you take them off, just try to keep them on as long as possible. Now when putting the hoop back on, you want to try and make your design as centered as possible and then retightening that screw. You can also go around and pull the material as necessary. Just make sure that your design doesn't become too distorted. Once you're happy with your design, it's time to get your green thread and cut it into 50cm lengths. So once you've threaded your needle, the first section we're going to fill in is this bottom cacti. So starting from the back, we're going to start just off to the center, and we're going to be using satin stitch for this whole project. Pull it through, and then what I like to do is tie a knot at the back of the project. And because we're just using satin stitch, make sure the direction that you'll be putting the stitch is straight. So I like to put it there first just to make sure I'll be going in the right direction. And then when you're putting the needle through, go slightly over the pencil line. That way you won't see the pencil line after the project's complete. So once you've come through the back, go where we were before and come back through. So satin stitch is basically over under. Just be careful when you're pulling it through that you don't pull too hard because you don't want to create holes in your fabric. So again, just over the pencil line. And then you want to fill in that whole section. Now you're going to go through that first 50cm length pretty quickly. I don't recommend going bigger than that, even though you will be rethreading your needle a lot, just because the longer the thread is, the more you have to pull through each time, and then it ends up being more difficult. Because this project does go through quite a bit of green thread, it's a bit easier if you measure and cut a bunch of them at once, then you're not stopping every single time to measure new green thread. So when I've got a last bit of thread coming through here, what I like to do is start from that same section and then pull through so I've got a little bit of a tail on the end, hold them there, sew through to the next section, then go back, and what you're going to want to do is just tie these together and then just cut off the tails, leaving a little bit in case you need to tighten that later. So for some of the stitches, if you're checking and it doesn't seem like it could go straight down because it's overlapping, what you can do is instead of going through the bottom, you can go about halfway and go slightly behind the other stitches that you've done. That way, when you start the next stitch, you can go straight down and you won't see that center part. If you find that you're getting drags in your fabric, like just up at the top here, what you can actually do is pull down the loop before it, and that'll even out the fabric. So once you guys have filled in that first big section, if you've got tails at either side, you can actually tie them together. Just try not to pull too tightly again because you don't want drags in the fabric. Just like that, and then cutting the tails off. I'm not going to fill in every single one today. Satin stitch is a very easy stitch. I'm sure you guys will do great. I will, however, show you just how to start the next section. So for this one, again, coming up over that pencil line because you don't want to see it, leaving a bit of a tail. Again, making sure that thread is going in the right direction. What you can actually do is try go in, not in the same holes that the thread has already come up through, because then you're just going to create bigger holes in the fabric. But you can actually go a little bit further inwards and actually go over some of these threads that we've already done. This will make the whole project be a bit more seamless as well, because it would actually look like the cacti leaves are connected. So go ahead and fill in this section and all the other sections on the cacti. So pretending that the rest of the cacti is filled in, the next step that you want to do is the bottom part of this pot here. And again, getting your thread and cutting it into 50cm lengths. So we're going to be starting with this middle section. of the bottom of the pot because this section is straight, whereas the sides of the pot actually come out at an angle. So we're going to start by filling in the center just with straight lines. So now that you've used that first 50 centimeters to do the middle section, we're going to start angling the thread outwards. So to do this, we're going to start from the top. So just like the cacti, you can actually go about halfway down and just a little bit behind the threads you've already done. That way you can come back up a little bit further. And then when you put that next thread in, you can actually do it on a bit more of an angle. Now you don't have to do this every single time for the outside sections. So maybe every second one. You'll still be able to see it for a little bit, but once you've got all the other thread in there, it should blend in quite nicely. If you can still see the top of the stitch, just move the other stitches around a little bit or pull some of them tighter so that you can't see it anymore. You only need to do these half stitches just for the outside of this straight section. You don't really need to do them as you get towards the end. So once you've finished the bottom of the pot, it's time to start doing this section across. Now for this section, we're going to start a little bit lower than the pencil line. Because what we want to do, we want to cover the top of this thread and we want to cover the bottom of that thread. So you may have to make this section a little bit bigger. So from there, again, a bit over the pencil line. And then you want to do this about 10 or so lines until it covers up the top of that cacti as well. So you want to fill in that top section until you can't see the bottom of the thread anymore, so it looks like the cacti is actually sitting in the pot. Now onto the flowers. I use two types of colours for my flowers, DMC 22 and 21. It is totally up to you whether you want the flowers to be two-tone or just one colour per flower. You're more than welcome to copy the original picture and do them exactly like I have, or you can place them around however you like. Now again, everything in this project is satin stitch, so I'm not going to be doing all the flowers, I'm just going to be doing one just to show you how I did it. So I did about 3 to 6 little satin stitches that were between 5mm to 10mm, coming off each of the little cacti. Now if you were using one colour, you do all 6 little spikes in the one colour, but I'm going to be showing you guys how to do a two-tone one. So coming up about 5mm away, then you want to go in between one of the threads, like straight through the middle of one of the green threads that you've done. That way it looks like it's coming off the cactus and not under it. And then like maybe one 10mm one again, straight through, and then like another one over there. Just try not to create too much of a gap so that you can see the white between the green. Now using the lighter colour, I'm just going to go in between those gaps. Again, just straight through the green on top. And then up through here. So that just gave it a cute little two-tone flower on the side of your cacti. So you want to do that about 9-10 times all over the sides of your cacti, or you can do them bunched up or just on a couple. It's really up to you. Now for the most fun part of the project, we are going to be adding little spikes to our cacti. So for this, it's super important that you don't pull the green threads too much because you don't want to move them about and you don't want to see the white that's under there either. What you're going to do is try come up through one of the threads, so not through one of the gaps between two green threads, but up straight through one of the green. And then you want to go about 5mm, so the same length as our flower buds, and then just pull it down. And these can be super random, they don't have to be in any kind of order, just have some fun with it. If you want to make the spikes come off the cacti as well, you can. Super simple, just go out and over. There are little spikes coming off your cacti. You don't have to do them in the middle at all. If you don't want to, you can just have them coming off. It is totally up to you. Now when you actually complete your entire project, you're going to want to finish these sides off. So what you do is flip it over, and we're going to be doing a little folding method. So you're going to want to get your finishing thread that comes with your kit, what we're going to do is fold a little bit of that edging on itself, come up through the middle, and then with that tail piece we're going to tie a really light knot. Now from here you're going to be doing the folding method all the way around so it brings in all these edges. And then when you get to the end, just create a little basic knot and tie it off. And then you should be all done, and then you can finally take these little blue stickers off as well. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and enjoy your project.